god. It is a dragon.
Oh, I get it. The people are the monsters. But I'd still like to see some kaiju fights. Roll the intro. Our series begins on Skull Island with older Dr. Rando running from a giant spider. He throws a Monarch bag into the ocean before being saved by a giant crab. Monsterverse, you know? But before he does, he leaves a message for his son just in case he doesn't make it back. It doesn't seem like they have the best relationship, and of course we know what ends up happening to him.
Oh shit.
In 2013, 1 year before the attack on San Francisco in the first Godzilla, a Japanese fisherman finds the bag Dr. Randa threw into the water decades before. After the opening credits, we see a woman on a flight to Tokyo. She's going to bury her father, who it would seem she also didn't have the greatest relationship with. We see that this woman, Kate, who is played by Anna Savai, who also plays Naomi in Pachinko, is suffering from PTSD from the San Francisco attack, where she was on a school bus on the Golden Gate Bridge. Literally the worst place to be in a Godzilla attack. In the cab, we learn that people are making money off the monster business.
Musa threat. Big business now.
And that some people don't even believe that Godzilla exists.
San Francisco was a hoax. They did it with CGI.
She gets to her father's home and finds out that he has another family in Japan. A real jerk move. But now we're gonna flash to Kazakhstan, 1959. We see the first two Monarch scientists accompanied by a soldier. The scientists are played by Anders Holmes from Workaholics and Mari Yamamoto, who killed it as Hana on Pachinko. The soldier is played by Wyatt Russell, who plays Lieutenant Leland Shaw. They're trying to prove the Hollow Earth theory that we now know exists because of Godzilla vs. Kong.
We come back proving the network is real. And then our theory's not just some insane fantasy.
They find a boy hunting that tells him that it's all a hoax and that he doesn't believe what the government is saying. They get to the quarantine facility and find out that there's no radiation there.
That's impossible. We detected it 1,000 miles downrange. We should be standing at ground zero.
Back to 2015, everyone's coming to terms with the father's lies. It turns out he was keeping everyone in the dark. Back in 59, their search continues. It seems like they know more now about the Titans than they know a decade later in the movie Skull Island, meaning that Dr. Randa was keeping a lot of secrets. The scientists set off charges and proved their theory, but it also seems like they opened up some sort of cavern. Back with Kate, the Titan attack alarm is going off and everyone is rushing for the shelter. They don't know if it's a drill or not, and she's starting to get really uncomfortable. She has flashbacks to the bridge as she tries to get her students off the school bus while Godzilla is attacking and destroying everything. But unfortunately, she's only able to save a few. Her PTSD is causing her to have a panic attack, but she's comforted by her dad's other wife. In 1959, they're exploring the hole that just opened up and they find Motu eggs. Lieutenant Shaw says that this is a bad idea, but the scientists insist on going to get samples, as scientists do.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Billy's right.
The Japanese scientist wants to go down and she says it'll only take 5 minutes, so he reluctantly goes with her to collect genetic material. At the shelter in 2015, they're given the all clear. Her dad's other wife invites Kate over for tea, but she says no.
You think our father was so bad?
Her new brother takes them to their father's office, and it turns out they have very different views of their father. But during all of this, they find a hidden safe in his office, confirming that there's even more secrets. The code to the safe is a part of everyone's birth date.
Your birth month, my day. Your mother's month, my mom's day.
So their dad was really twisted up in all of these secrets. In the safe, they find Dr. Randa's Monarch bag from all those years ago. The symbol gives her another flashback to seeing a Monarch agent on the day of the attack. They didn't help her or anyone. They just stood by and took their scientific readings. So her brother takes her to meet a woman named May to get the info off of these old hard drives. And it would seem that they also have a very complicated relationship.
Is that what this relationship is now?
But they head to May's place. When they hack into the hard drive, it alerts the agents at Monarch.
So, do you want me to kick this up to Verdugo?
Meaning someone is now on their way to find them. Kate explains what she remembers about Monarch to May and her brother.
People were trapped, dying, and these guys were taking pictures.
She also remembers back to 2014 to right after the attack. Her father gets them tickets out of San Francisco, but leaves with no explanation.
Carry them on my lover. I love you both.
They later find out that he died in Alaska in a plane crash. But while searching through the files, they find out that they are the Japanese scientist's grandchildren. In 1959, they get down into the hole near the eggs, but the eggs hatch, and unfortunately, the Japanese scientist is taken by these insect monsters and disappears down into the darkness. If you don't subscribe, Godzilla might attack a city near you. I mean, it could help. Let's get back to the video. Episode 2 starts in 1952 with Shaw getting in trouble for fighting in a bar. I don't know if it's a punishment, but he's assigned to escort a Japanese scientist and he's not very excited about it.
She must be his daughter.
When finding out that this scientist is a woman, he starts off by being super sexist.
I am Lieutenant Leland Lafayette Shaw III, but you can call me Lee.
But she holds her own and they head off to investigate a plane that crashed under mysterious circumstances. But she explains it a lot more scientifically.
Okay then, starting to get the feeling you don't really want me around here.
In Tokyo 2015, Kentaro wakes up and he's not happy about the things that have come to light in the last few days. He puts his suit on and heads off to work. But instead, he turns and heads to his father's office. He starts to look for more clues about who his father really was, but eventually he lashes out and starts to destroy things, but manages to find more files using the keys Kate brought with her from America. He finds Shaw's file, information on a senior living facility, and a roll of film that says Philippines 1952. Back in 1952, Shaw and Dr. Mira are still not completely clicking.
Your English is very good.
It came in handy when I did my postgraduate work at Berkeley.
But at least maybe they're coming to some understanding.
Oh, you want me to lie and pretend that's not the way things are?
I guess maybe an understanding is also kind of pushing it. Dr. Mira hears something in the jungle and out walks a young Dr. Randa. After the initial shock, they decide to work together.
Easy.
Touch that. Sorry, I've never seen one before.
Well, at least the two doctors do. In 2015, Monarch is starting to catch up with Kate and the gang. One of the agents makes contact but really fumbles the intro. So eventually he just spills everything.
I work for Monarch. You're not in trouble. Not yet.
She tries to run but gets caught by a real agent and is taken into their car. But she has a panic attack after they give her the black bag treatment and the car crashes.
Let me out. Let me out.
She's able to get away, and across town we see that her brother still isn't making any headway with May.
I grabbed onto you to keep my head above water and you didn't want to drown. I get it.
And without talking to anyone else, May is still hacking all of the files. The police don't believe Kate, and she's left with no other choice but to find her brother or May. So, May it is. Kentaro gets home and finds his mother looking at old pictures. They talk about his father and she manages to cheer him up a little, and he finds a picture of Shaw. Back in 1952, Randa is trying to explain his theories about local myths. Shaw doesn't like Randa and tries to get rid of him, but only ends up getting himself sent home.
I didn't ask for you. I don't need you, and I don't want you.
But it turns out Randa is actually onto something because his research lines up with Dr. Mira's. That's whenever they find Randa's ship that he talked about on Skull Island.
You heard of the USS Lawton? Neither did the public.
Now in 2015, Kate is scared. She has no one that she can trust, and she finally finds her way to May's apartment, but the Monarch guy is already there. May is able to grab her before she gets caught, and they slip away quietly. So the Monarch guy goes to Kentaro's apartment and tries to pressure them for the files. His mother passes him a picture of Shaw, and he sneaks out the back. But right when he's almost free,
Oh, shit.
they see who his father is, and they take off after him. May gets her go pack out of a locker.
Who are you, Jason Bourne?
And they meet Kentaro, who knows a place they can go, or at least someone that just might be able to help. In 52, Randa and Mira walk around the Lawton as he explains that it disappeared from Pearl Harbor in 1943.
That's 5,000 miles from here.
Exactly.
He finds his old bunk and his baseball cap that you see in episode 1. That's when Miro realizes that he was a sailor on this ship, and he still seems to be haunted by it to this day.
Who else survived?
Only me.
And that's when Shaw sees something in the sky and knows that he has to get back. They find some organic stuff on the walls and the bodies of his fellow crew members stuck in some goo. In 2015, our three new friends go to meet Shaw, now an older man played by Wyatt Russell's father, the famous Kurt Russell. Shaw plays it cool, but eventually May finds a camera hidden in the bush, and it turns out that he's a prisoner in this place.
Oh, this place is what Monarch euphemistically refers to as secure asset management.
He cuts off his ankle monitor and gives them the option to go find some answers. In 52, they're finding more and more of this goo, and the ship starts to get attacked by a Motu. Young Shaw gets there just in time and saves Randa and Mira, only for all of them to be forever changed by seeing their very first Motu. Well, their first recorded Motu. A giant dragon bird thing that almost eats them.
Incredible.
You wait to see what the enemy's gonna do, you've already lost, son.
What's Shaw hiding? He's really good at giving half answers. Let's break down this week's episode and see if we can find out. Roll the intro. Episode 3 starts in 2015 with Shaw explaining that he wants to find Kate and Kentaro's dad just as bad as they do.
You don't want to find out if your own father's alive or dead, that's your business, but I do want to find out.
It doesn't seem like he's softened at all from the hard-headed man that we met in episode 1. But we do see that he hasn't completely lost his skills as a soldier.
Hey, if it floats, flies, or runs on 4 wheels,
Okay, foot on the pedal, press the button.
Button?
Yes!
They get away after some very impressive driving from Shaw. Shaw remembers back to 1954, standing with doctors Randa and Mira waiting for a general to have a little chat about funding.
If you want to make a difference, you want to do some serious science, then we need backing.
The docs don't like it, but Shaw is right. Monarch needs money if it's going to grow. They show the general a molding of a Godzilla footprint they found and ask him for.
All we need is 150 pounds of uranium.
And let me explain.
The general isn't very happy about that, but apparently he gives in. These wackos are gonna try to lure Godzilla out of hiding with a big ol' nuke.
Yes! We got it!
We see that Randa and Shaw don't really see eye to eye on the method, but they both see the importance of Monarch. After the credits, we see Kate and the gang, now with old Shaw, begin to hatch a plan on how to figure out what Kate and Kentaro's dad was up to. He kind of explains the origins of Monarch, and May does the math, and it doesn't add up.
Wouldn't that make you like 90 years old?
Good genes, huh?
And Kate is not okay with the family business of being monster hunters.
It's the family curse.
Doesn't sound so bad to me, but yeah, she's not happy about all of the lies. In 54, on the Bikini Atolls, the scientists and Shaw walk up and see a soldier painting a no Godzilla symbol on a bomb. The scientists don't like the idea of setting off a bomb and attacking Godzilla, especially Dr. Mira, because, you know, she's Japanese.
I realize that this is not what they had in mind, but it's become bigger than all of us.
Not to mention, Godzilla is not going to like that. In 2015, May is chatting with someone on a burner phone. She says she might have a way home, and I'm worried that this might mean that she's gonna turn in the data and the rest of her friends. I know what you're thinking. May, how could you? But let's be honest, she has an on and off again relationship with Kentaro, and she doesn't even know Shaw and Kate. And at this point, I wouldn't blame her. I do not like Kentaro. Between Kate and him, I think that the family business is actually moodiness.
And why are we going to Korea? My father disappeared in Alaska. Alaska is that way.
But Shaw explains to him that they just need to get someone from Korea, and they throw out the hard drive because May digitized all of them without permission. Shaw pulls some old school trickery and they get through customs in Korea. But back in Japan, the Monarch big boss shows up to fix this little problem.
Although I was supposed to be moving my daughter into her college dorm room this weekend.
She's intense, and the other Monarch agents are actually scared of her.
Is this about our mission or yours?
Needless to say, Monarch is not what our original 3 had in mind whenever they started it in the 50s. But hey, Monarch has a lead in Korea. However, the gang is not in Korea. They're already on their way to Alaska. Back in 54, they're all waiting for Godzilla to show up. But the scientists don't really want him to show up anymore. It wasn't their plan to blow him up. Unfortunately, Godzilla does take the bait.
What the hell does that thing need protection from?
Us.
At the last minute, Shaw does try to stop the general from setting off the nuke, but the general is absolutely resolute.
You wait to see what the enemy's gonna do, you've already lost, son.
Kay tries desperately to stop it, but Shaw stops her and the bomb goes off. But we already know that it's gonna take more than just one nuclear bomb to take down Godzilla. He'll just retreat and heal back in his kingdom at the bottom of the ocean. Hey, what's up guys? No silly joke this time. I'm just asking you to subscribe so that I can bring you better videos and we can just keep on building this thing together. Come on, subscribe. All right, let's get back to the video. In 2015, Kentaro has a lot of questions, but
If you two are looking for some insight into your situation, I got nothing.
May does her hacker thing and they find the best place to look for their father's downed plane in Alaska. In 54, Keiko is still upset about what they did to Godzilla, but the government is going to give them a Godzilla-sized check to fund Monarch. So I guess it was kind of worth it. Kay already doesn't like what the military is doing, so they come to an agreement.
Are you okay with that?
Are you?
I'm fine with it.
Shaw only reports what he's told and he doesn't question what he's told from the scientists. Soldier stuff. Also, probably how he got so good at telling half-truths. In 2015, Kate is being moody and the pilot tries to cheer her up. Honestly, he's way cooler than Kate, but you know, he's a spy or something, so it's kind of cheating. They hit a storm, probably because he's not paying attention. However, it turns out Shaw can fly.
All right, now we got an attitude indicator.
And I mean, he is one crazy good pilot.
Your landings can use a little work.
They managed to find their father's plane pretty quick, but not his body. The plot thickens. They find a tent set up, but no one in it. Thick ass plot. They find the pencil shavings that their father used to leave all over their houses.
He survived.
And that's whenever our cool pilot discovers that the plane actually landed fine, and it was the giant monster that ripped it to pieces. They all bolt to their own plane to get it off the ground, but, well, it's destroyed by an ice monster. A pretty awesome ice monster, actually.
Wait, that's not the big thing. The last time anyone saw readings like this was right before the last emergence event, before G-Day.
Episode 4 just changed everything that we know about the Monsterverse forever. Roll the intro. Episode 4 starts in Utah 2015 with a new character listening to I Like Big Butts while chilling next to her Airstream. She goes inside and we see that she has a very impressive computer setup, and when she looks at the screen, she starts to freak out.
Hi, it's Barnes. I'm getting a really weird reading out here, and Barnes.
In Alaska, we see the gang still fighting the Frostvarg. Sadly, our cool Korean pilot didn't make it, and we see Kentaro use some ingenuity and distract the Frostvarg. Well, for a second, and they all get away. Actually, it turns out he was trying to hit it and missed completely with the flare. Besides, it wouldn't have done anything except for piss off the Frostvarg. They all hide as it slowly searches, and May falls into freezing cold water and can barely contain the pain.
I'm gonna die of hypothermia. You happy we came?
And again, she blames Kentaro. A year earlier, we see Kentaro's art and it's amazing. But we also see that he's fine with showing his emotional expression, but not his actual emotions. His mother is so proud of him, but again, it seems like he feels less than. So while he's getting air, he takes a picture of his poster like you do. And that's when he meets May while she's being a Karen about someone accidentally taking her picture. They instantly connect.
You're in luck. Japan has some very expensive whiskey.
In Alaska, May is in a bad situation, and it feels like Shaw is already counting her out. In 2014, he takes May to a speakeasy where Kentaro did the lighting. He's completely skipping his first exhibition. Kentaro making moody decisions? Oh no, go figure.
You should probably go. The rich pricks are waiting.
Instead, he takes her to his studio. Probably a pretty private place for him, and they finally kiss. I know they just met, but it's been coming for a while. In Alaska, nobody believes that Kentaro saw a building from the plane.
Whatever I saw is closer.
Yeah, if it exists.
Shaw again seems like he doesn't care and just tells him to go find it.
You think you saw something?
Yeah, I know what I saw.
Then go. And don't stop until you find it. And then get help. We'll do the same.
He doesn't need him, so that just makes it easier. The dude was just a pain in his ass anyways. Barnes, the Monarch agent by the Airstream, says that her readings are the same as G-Day. So this is getting real. Kentaro is starting to hallucinate and May can't walk anymore. She's getting delirious and outwardly says to Shaw,
You want something?
She's getting delirious.
Maybe that's why he doesn't care if the group dies off. He might just need something that they have or might have. Kentaro passes out in the snow, and that's when Kate's group finds out that they're back at their dad's tent. It turns out that Titans can mess with their surroundings and maybe even with our minds.
Titans have odd effects on their surroundings and how we experience them. The cloud we flew through, this place, it's stranger than you think. It's stranger than anybody knows.
That might be why they can stay hidden for so long. It adds a whole new layer on why Titans are really only legends to us. Even if you did live to tell the public about your Frostbark sighting, we just say that you must have been delirious from exposure. Also, if each Titan is fairly different, that means that most sightings wouldn't match anything that we've seen before. However, we know that there were multiple Kongs. Kong had parents, and this throne room wasn't built by only 2 Kongs. But hey, it might have been built by the Scar King. We all just assume that this was the King Kong throne, but this dude looks pretty comfortable. But back to the episode. If you like and subscribe, a fake dollar will go to the Frostbark Preservation Fund. Don't kill Frostbarks. Okay, let's get back to the video. In 2014, we find out that that kiss turned into a lot more, and Kentaro still hasn't gone to his exhibition.
I just brought you here and bared my artist soul. You haven't told me shit about yourself.
May is being May and being very cagey about who she is and why she's in Japan.
I'm from Tacoma. Tacoma sucks, so I came to Japan. Japan is cool.
She gets a call from someone named Lyra and shuts down even more.
Look, you gotta stop calling me.
In Alaska, she's starting to lose her mind, but they got a fire going, so hopefully she'll warm up. They don't have anything to burn except for the contents of the tent, so mostly just papers that Kate's dad left around.
And who knows what's in your dad's papers? I mean, he could tell us what he was doing here, theories, discoveries, where he went.
Kate wants to burn it all, but Shaw, he's hiding something. Okay, sidebar, crazy theory time. I think that Shaw is hiding that they found the fountain of youth, if you will allow me some goofiness. In episode 3, he has this conversation with May.
Wouldn't that make you like 90 years old?
What can I say? Good genes, huh?
I've met 90-year-olds. They can't run around like this, and I think that the show is making a point to let us know that. So I think that Monarch cut him off from his youth juice. Sorry, I won't say that again. So I think that they cut him off from whatever keeps him young, and he's making one last dash to get back to it. But he needs the source, which might be on Skull Island, which he might not know how to find. But May has Dr. Randa's hard drives. But we'll talk more about that later. May is trying to tell Kate Lyra's number. Turns out that Lyra is May's sister, and she doesn't want to talk to her, but she also doesn't want to die without her knowing. Family, right? Just then, the Frostbark attacks and destroys the tent. At Monarch, they're scrambling, but B-Team from episode 2, his name is Tim, but I'm gonna call him B-Team. Comment below if B-Team is growing on you. Anyways, he steps up and gets everybody on the same page.
And I would have thought that a bunch of people who signed up to study giant atomic-powered monsters would be a little bit more open-minded about it.
In Alaska, Kate's group hatches a plan to get away from the Frostbark using heat. Kentaro is officially losing his mind in the cold. He even sees his father walk by in short sleeves. But he sees something in the direction that his father went. It's pencil shavings covering the ground. So he starts to follow it, and he finds the building that he was sure he saw from the plane. It's an old research station that's not in the best shape, but I'm sure to him it looks like
a hot dog and a beer at Wrigley Field on opening day.
Makes sense. There's this belief in the third man factor, or you could call it a guardian angel that'll lead you to safety. It's been documented many times. I saw it on a Mr. Ballin episode, so either way, follow the pencil shavings should have been the name of this episode, but parallels and interiors will work, I guess. It's just a missed opportunity. Kentaro flashes back, and it turns out that him missing his exhibition got him dropped from the entire gallery. His father tries to console him by saying all the right things, but he just fades into static. In reality, he finds pencil shavings next to a radio that's still on in this frozen over research center. But who's on the other end? Kate's group is about to light a funeral pyre for their friend and distract the Frostbark. But just then, a helicopter comes by and it attacks.
Every time you took a shot,
Shaw,
all you really...
Shaw is sent flying while it sets its attention on May, who is barely able to run. It starts to do the freezy thing on May's bag, so Shaw lights up the aviation fuel and...
Dinner time, you son of a bitch!
They all managed to get away with the Frostvark worried about the fire. Also, does the Frostvark love or hate heat? It chases anything that has warmth, and when it freezes things, it kind of seems like it's inhaling. I'm just saying, it'd be kind of sad if it just wants to be warm but actually causes the cold. So every day it gets up and tries to warm itself only to freeze over again eventually. It's just a thought. Comment below what you think of the Frostvark. Anyways, Kentaro is in the helicopter and Shaw is very mad that May's laptop is frozen over. Whatever he needed might have been on that computer. Again, it seems like he's not worried about the kids, he's worried about the information that the kids might have. And whenever they land, they're confronted with B-Team.
Colonel Shaw! It's an honor to finally meet you!
Doing what Monarch does best.
And what's that, Colonel?
Nothing.
I'm starting to get the feeling that Shaw doesn't really like Monarch anymore. Real quick, we now have memberships and super chats. Now I'm not gonna pitch this too hard, but if you have a minute, go ahead and explore what a Blake's World membership has to offer. Anyways, Kate is complicated. Let's get into it. Roll the intro. Episode 5 starts in Alaska at a Monarch command post.
You think you can intimidate me with all this secret Black Ops bullshit?
The gang is all handling their confinement differently. They're all being monitored by the Monarch big boss. They start by trying to break down May. She would be the most grateful for their help after almost dying, right?
Shouldn't you be off chasing big, scary monsters or something?
Big mistake. But it does turn out that she has her sister's passport. May has a lot of secrets.
It's not crazy to think we could help each other.
The Monarch Stooges debate on what to do, but B-Team wants to bring them into the fold. Well, except for Shaw.
He's my problem now.
However, they decide to put Kate, Kentaro, and May on a plane, but decide to watch them closely and see what they find.
You think that you're on some righteous crusade?
They did kind of infiltrate a worldwide secret agency.
Wake up! You stuck your noses in shit you don't understand. You're goddamn lucky to be alive.
May is ready to bail, but Kentaro and Kate still need more information. They just found out that their father survived this plane crash.
Monarch may know how to find the Titans, but they don't know how to find Dad.
May gives him the files, but she's still just waiting for her flight. Back at the base, they start working on Shaw, showing him old videos of him in the docks, before things change to whatever it is now. The big boss goes in to interrogate him, and we get a sense that Shaw really hates what Monarch has become.
Doing what Monarch does best.
And what's that, Colonel?
Nothing.
He actually makes a case to bring the kids into Monarch, but the big boss isn't so sure. She thinks that they would talk, which to me is weird because it's not like giant monsters are a secret anymore after San Francisco. But you know, government secrets. Behind the scenes, B-Team talks about how Shaw is still so young. I made a short that went through my theory about Shaw's age, and this just confirms it.
So he should be what, 90 at least? How does he look like that?
Something that he did is making him stay young, and he needs more of it to keep himself from dying.
There's rumors of a mission gone bad, but it's classified.
Maybe this doesn't confirm that much, but there is something that happened. Here's my theory. When he made the deal with the docks...
Are you okay with that?
Are you? I'm fine with it.
He started collecting secrets. Secrets like where the Frostvark is and where the Titans hide the Fountain of Youth. So now this series is about him taking his last shot to get back to the Fountain of Youth to give him a couple more years of being a badass soldier. Something Monarch is obviously ready to put to an end. Even if we were to find out what he's hiding, there's probably more than we'll ever know. Kate and the gang land in San Francisco. It's still completely destroyed, but they're trying to rebuild, I guess. They see a commercial for a custom underground monster-proof house.
But who wants to live in a custom bunker?
Tech bros.
But hold on, now it's time to meet Kate's family. Meet James, Kate's mom's work friend. He actually bows. Kinda cringy.
So, grab your coat, grab your coat. She's okay? Let's roll.
They travel home through what's left of the people of San Fran. It's bleak. They try to explain that people used to take tours of the city.
Trauma tourists. Getting off on the disaster porn or trying to prove it was all the government conspiracy.
Hey, I heard that super chats help keep Monarch from being able to hack your computer. And liking and subscribing and a membership. If you believe it, It's real, like the Hollow Earth. Now let's get back to the video. Sounds messed up until Kentaro explains that his mom signed up once in hopes of finding their father. When Kate's mother comes out, we find out that she's a very nice and caring person that spends her time helping other refugees of the attack. When finding out about her husband's secret son and family, she just kinda stows it away and moves on.
What do you expect me to do? Have a hysterical breakdown?
Go for it. I wouldn't blame you.
She knew something was going on. She didn't know what he was doing, but she knew something was happening in Japan. She sent Kate there to get her out of her room and the funk that was caused by the Godzilla attack. And I mean, this was one massive funk. They decide to sneak into the city and go to their father's office, but their mother says the military has it on lockdown.
So they're getting in, we'll go in with them.
But with a little bit of grease, they get through the military checkpoints. The city is different now, and Kate is really nervous about being back.
How can anyone believe this is fake?
The last time she was here, her class was falling off the Golden Gate Bridge. In Alaska, the Monarch big boss is still working on Shaw, trying to figure out what made him do this now.
The world is on fire. I decided to do something about it.
He actually has some great points.
What if Godzilla had lost?
She threatens him, but it doesn't work, and he shuts her down hard.
Monarch is wrong and has been for a long time.
In SF, they're learning how to walk around a crumbling city. Really, it's just telling Kentaro not to touch anything.
I'm meeting the evidence.
Kate has a stroll down memory lane back to her favorite coffee shop. That's when we see her and her girlfriend kissing. Something she still might not have told her mother. And that woman is gone now, so I can only imagine that she didn't make it, but we'll get into that in a minute. They seem to be happy and they talk about moving in together. They even exchange keys. And that's a big step.
So it begins.
In class, they're freaking out about the monster fight in Hawaii.
We're monitoring the situation closely. Make sure their phones are charged and they all know their family reunification plans.
Kate walks right by her old school, and that's when the military sees them. Not the best time to have a flashback, but Kate was left with the decision to leave or stay with her girlfriend. And we know what she picks. Kentaro uses the cats to get the soldiers off their back and they sneak away.
My uncle is a cat man.
Kate is finding out that her old neighborhood is not as walkable as it used to be. Kentaro tries to lighten the mood and he eventually does, but they walk right into the view of the soldiers and take off. They go into a subway station and Kate's PTSD hits hard. She can barely move. Luckily, there's some people already living down there and they distract the soldiers, but Kate can't take it anymore.
Go ahead without me.
They convince her to continue and face her fears, but think about it, this rubble is the same rubble that killed so many people. Kate is losing her grip between her flashbacks and real life, and it's kind of mean to Kentaro. May calms her down by having her take slow, deep breaths.
In.
We flash back again, and it turns out that Kate isn't as committed as we thought. She never gave an answer, so she left so many things unsaid between her and this woman that she loves.
Just follow the cats.
Kentaro is actually growing on me. Alaska must have given him confidence because he's the one that finds their way out. And boom, they made it to the Trans-America Pyramid. This is actually the weirdest part of the show. Why would their dad pick the most popular building in San Francisco? Wait. Maybe he's a genius. It's still there and a lot of other buildings didn't make it. So maybe he knew he needed to pick the safest building in case of a giant monster attack, which was recently added to the real estate listings in San Fran.
What floor is it on?
Dad loved the view.
In the office, they find the same map and lots of pencil shavings. Dude was a bit of a slob. On his desk, he has pictures of his American family. Their father's lies were Godzilla-sized. There's no safe this time, but they actually look at the map for once. The map has places in the world that their father has found for some reason. When we get an answer, we're just left with more questions. Kentaro uses the sunrise to mark the spots right before they head back. But what could these spots be? Could they be the entrances to the Hollow Earth like the ones they use in Godzilla vs. Kong? Comment below with your theories. Kate and her mother have a heart-to-heart, and Kate drops another bomb on her, that her father might still be alive and that she's going to find him. Kentaro seems to be finally starting to trust this little makeshift team, and to be honest, in the last 2 episodes, he's really been coming in clutch. But May finally breaks and calls B-Team at Monarch and says,
I want to go home. Tell me what I need to do.
End credits.
We didn't kill it. She Jesus Christ, we didn't kill it.
Not even close. You probably only gave Godzilla a steroid shot. And the one thing that's becoming clear is that divided, they don't conquer. All right, roll the intro. Episode 6 starts in DC. We see Shaw at a Schwenky shindig, and he's trying to drink a fruit cocktail, but we can see he's probably more of a beer guy. Kieko looks stunning as she walks in, and Shaw is literally speechless. Wyatt Russell is really good at doing his father's mannerisms. Kay isn't happy about being at the party. You can tell that Billy is starting to rub off on her. She thinks all of these suits are just a waste of her time, and they aren't even gonna remember her name anyways.
Have a drink. Worth 3.
But Monarch needs money. Looks like Shaw got a promotion to captain because he's great at kissing butt. Even when the general is racist. Unintentionally, but still very racist.
She's one of the good ones.
Ouch. Kay takes it on the chin, but you can tell it must be hard to be silent. Shaw gives her a great pep talk and they even dance.
What are you doing?
Dipping it.
The general seems to like what he's seeing, the creep, but they stop noticing everyone watching and now they're just dancing. It seems like they're really bonding. Kay asks if this is something that Shaw wants to be, one of these guys, a rich and powerful pencil-pushing career soldier. It's kind of that conversation that they didn't have in episode 1, or that they might have already had.
You could be one of them, you know?
Well, maybe General Puckett's right. And being career military might not be so bad.
I don't know what my favorite thing about children is. Making them.
And it looks like things are about to get hot and heavy, but Dr. Randa blocks your boy from distance.
No, don't do this to me.
So close, but not gonna happen. In 2014, Colonel Shaw is getting the black bag treatment from Monarch, but plans have changed. B-Team's partner, who Shaw calls Mademoiselle, kicks everyone out of the van, literally, and cuts Shaw loose.
Another Titan emergence is coming. You think you know how to stop it, but Monarch disagrees.
Shaw's been telling Monarch that Godzilla and Kong are real, but they want him to believe that they could control it. Shaw's been telling them that they can't.
Amazing, isn't it? How anyone who disagrees with them has got to be just crazy.
We'll see why in just a minute. Mademoiselle and Shaw team up and zoom out of there. Back in 1955, Randa thinks that he's found something big. You can see on Shaw's face that it better be. Someone might have seen something big. Also, they have this really cool lab. I'm a big fan.
But I think we got a live one.
There's a little unresolved sexual tension, but you know, giant monsters are coming, so cold showers all around. Randa explains,
I don't know how you do what you do, Kay, but I know that when the little squiggly line shoots off the top of the page like that, it means something.
Kay is shocked by what she sees.
The only other time I've seen isotopic signatures like this was in the Philippines.
So guys, I think this means it's Titan time.
We need to get to Japan.
Shaw explains that they have to present to the general for more money so Monarch can stay afloat. So they decide to divide and conquer. The scientists go to Japan and Shaw stays, leaving Billy with Kieko. In 2014, Shaw and Mademoiselle show up at Kate's house. The gang is a little slow to trust one of them, but Shaw explains.
She's not taking orders from Monarch anymore because she's with us.
I don't know if I trust that, but okay. And honestly, they need to just roll with things a little bit easier. They have no idea what they're doing. Kate's a middle school teacher, Kentaro's an artist, and May, well, she's a badass international hacker. But still, the other two have no business being there. At their father's office in San Francisco, B-Team and the Big Boss are trying to figure out where the gang is gonna go next. And the Big Boss is forced to reveal more about their father.
He kept retargeting deep space satellites to look at things they weren't supposed to.
Also, the compartmentalization in Monarch is so stupid. No one knows everything, and when you think about the security aspect of Monarch, that makes sense. But these people are supposed to work together for the greater good, not use their special secret to retain the power and the paycheck. And it turns out that B-Team is actually a pretty solid detective. He literally remembers the map just from the holes where the pins used to be. He figures out that the gang is looking for gamma ray bursts. And I don't like the way the Big Boss says this.
So they're looking for their father.
Sounds like she already knows more than she's telling. Subscribe and get a Blake's World membership to support a very important cause. The Let Godzilla Nap Foundation is committed to getting the big guy the rest he needs to keep all the other Titans in check. I think we all just want a non-uninterrupted nap sometimes. Also, like and share this video so we can grow this page together. All right, let's get back to the video. In 55, doctors Randa and Mira get to...
Welcome to Monster Island.
This man, Dr. Suzuki, has made a machine that more or less calls Titans using radiation. Back in 2014, they're in the desert and Shaw's getting a little little nostalgic about driving with Kate.
Been a lot of miles with you Randa girls over the years.
May is upset that she had to sell everyone out and she still isn't able to go home anytime soon.
Circumstances have changed.
But Mademoiselle says that she'll get there soon enough. Kate is being her moody self about Mademoiselle, and Shaw has to convince everyone that this is bigger than just them and their petty squabbles.
Thousands, maybe millions of lives lost that your grandparents and father were trying to save.
In 55, Captain Shaw is talking with Randa on the radio.
Exactly what kind of fish are we talking about here, Billy?
Shaw is losing it not being there. You can see on his face that knowing that a Titan will be anywhere near Kay is just too much for him. He goes to the general in hopes of getting the funding early so that he can leave early. But the general convinces him that
In every military organization, there are generals and there are soldiers.
if he just plays the game, he'll win and get to run Monarch the way he wants. So that would be the way Kay would want it. So win-win, right? This is what they were talking about on the balcony. Can he be the pencil-pushing career soldier? You know, shake hands for a living. Unfortunately, we've already seen that he isn't very involved in 1955.
Raising a great kid, being able to keep Monarch together, that's no small feat.
In 2014, after taking these sick ATVs and walking up this hill, they finally see their father. He's standing by a truck at the bottom of the hill. Imagine, they thought their father was dead for years. And he must be in a bit of a shock seeing both of his children from his secret families coming down the hill.
Dad! Dad!
They are so happy, but when he sees them, he starts to give them the wave that is the obvious sign for go away for your own safety. That's when Shaw sees what's in the truck. It looks like an updated version of the Titan calling machine that we saw earlier on Monster Island. Remember what B-Team said, and you know, I might change his name to Columbo.
I know you meant that as a burn, but I actually love Columbo, and it's maybe the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
And remember what he said about Randa.
Everything that Bill Randa studies, he puts in his files.
So Hiroshi would have used his knowledge of technological advancements plus the notes to build his own. But Shaw wasn't there on Monster Island, so he can only guess, but it looks like he's starting to put it together. Back in 55, they have the old Titan calling machine, and it's not working fast enough for Randa.
My father used to say that it's the reason they call it fishing, not catching.
My pop said the same thing.
Dr. Suzuki is awesome. Also turns out that Dr. Randa might not be as clueless as we thought, because when Shaw turns up, he says this.
You know the only thing worse than being a third wheel? Being a fourth. Let's walk.
But Kay just walks off knowing that he missed the meeting is gonna mess up Monarch's funding. She's not super happy about him being so forward about his feelings, and she kind of protests their relationship. She says that the greater good is more important and he might not be focused enough on Monarch. They share one kiss and it seems like they know that that's as far as it can go for now. But that's when something around them changes.
The device. It stopped.
Godzilla throws the old device towards Shaw and Kay and shows his head above water. He's obviously not happy about this device not having the yum-yums he was looking for. In 2014, Shaw has put it completely together and Shaw is starting to warn everyone. And that's when a Monarch helicopter shows up.
Come on now, baby!
The gang finds out that they aren't on a mountain or a hill. They're on a sleeping Godzilla. Their father takes off in the truck with the Titan calling machine, probably hoping to lure Godzilla away. They slide down and barely make it out alive. That's when they see Godzilla. Remember, after San Francisco, Godzilla was really hurt and probably needed some time to recharge. Oh, and remember that helicopter? Kate and Godzilla look at each other just like they did on the bridge. It's more than just a look, it's obvious recognition.
He saw me.
It seems like they have some kind of bond. There are no survivors of the helicopter crash, so bye-bye B-Team, I guess. Shaw is trying to get the gang to follow Godzilla, but Kate wants to follow their father, not Godzilla. Which is dumb because he's looking for Godzilla and Godzilla is looking for his truck, so same place. May spills everything. Turns out she's made some powerful people mad and she's been on the run ever since. She offers all the money she stole for forgiveness for selling them out, but Kate would never. She can't even forgive herself for not being able to stop a Godzilla attack.
Kate, I'm sorry. Kate.
And in 1955, Shaw and the doctors come back to find that they probably shouldn't have called the general's bluff.
In the Navy, we call it a change of command.
Pretending that humanity didn't just wake up and suddenly find itself on the endangered species list.
Columbo, saving the world one manga at a time, corporate espionage, and so many Easter eggs, it's hard to count them all. All right, let's break down this week's episode. As you can see, I'm back home for the holidays. Roll the intro. Episode 7 starts with Columbo crawling from beneath the sands after the helicopter crash.
What the?
My boy made it.
Columbo, baby!
Kate is still trying to figure out what their father was doing, but Kentaro is only worried about his flight.
I've never flown first class. Do you think we'll be in those pods?
He thinks this has all been a waste of time because his father has been alive and now he's just abandoned them.
He took one look at us and ran away.
Weird that now that you found your long lost or dead father, you are upset. What was Kentaro looking for? Just confirmation that his father died? Also, why did his father run away? Was it Shaw? We'll learn more about why that would be in a minute. I guess he did get double whammied when May dropped that he sold them out right after his father took off. But that's when Kate notices that May has been gone for a really long time. She's in the bathroom kind of freaking out and two people come in and May says,
I've never been kidnapped before, so how does this work?
And opening credits. Kate goes into the restroom to find May.
Look, I'm sorry I told you to go to hell.
And all she finds is May's jacket with her ticket, passport, and cell phone.
Maybe she forgot it?
May? Our May?
May is on a private jet somewhere looking very worried. Flash to 3 years earlier in Seattle. May is sitting with Naomi from The Expanse drinking expensive wine.
Into the second bottle, then you give your big sales pitch.
She's trying to convince May to work for her company.
And I think the future looks better if you create it with me.
Back at the airport 3 years later, Kate sees Columbo and she freaks out on him.
I have had a very weird day.
He doesn't understand. He barely survived and now he's barely made it to the airport. And to be honest, he doesn't care that much about their problems anymore.
Your grandparents, they created something extraordinary in Monarch. They were fearless enough to believe that the world is so much more vast than we could possibly imagine. And they were humble enough to accept our tiny place in it.
He's a little tired of being bullied by all these kids that don't understand what he's there for and why he decided to take up this fight. Admittedly, Monarch has fallen into a dark hole that it doesn't seem to be able to climb out of, but it turns out that Columbo is a friend of their father's.
Your father, he opened my eyes to that world.
Columbo is convinced that their father is trying to stop the next G-Day. So whatever he was doing calling Godzilla, at least he thought he was doing the right thing. So Kate offers him the deal.
So, help us find May. And we'll help you find Shaw.
But Kentaro has to say something. I swear, these stranger siblings are so moody they could be twins.
You're asking him for help?
Our options feel kind of limited right now.
Kentaro wants to go home. He just wants to shut it down and avoid any more pain. Back at the table, Columbo is talking to the Monarch big boss.
Godzilla happened, actually. He was here.
She wants to bring him in and figure out what happened. But he has a point. The big boss was wrong about the kids. The kids are Titan-finding machines. And Columbo knew it from the beginning. The boss wants to know if he's told them about May yet. At a Monarch base, we see Barnes from episode 4. She's looking for Gamma Ray Verse, and yes, she's just as awkward as she was before.
Here I am. Freezing my ass off.
That's when Shaw walks in with a bunch of mercs and gives a speech.
Now, you can go on as if the world hasn't changed, pretending that humanity didn't just wake up and suddenly find itself on the endangered species list.
With Monarch being what it is now, it might not be hard to make them change sides. They're taking over and it looks like the beginning of the same terrorist cell from the King of Monsters. Barnes, who had stepped out, sees all of this happening and very clumsily tries to call the main base to warn them. And just like before, she's put on hold and not made urgent by the bureaucrats at Monarch. At the airport, it turns out that Columbo really liked their father.
Wouldn't say anything for a while. You'd almost forget he was in the room, then chime in with some perspective that would turn the whole thing on its head.
And when he mentions pencil shavings, they're in. That's when he tells them that May's real name is Cora. Also, maybe I'm wrong about Columbo, because the one thing that I know for sure is that he's still working with Mademoiselle, and she's working with Shaw. So I think that means that he might be working with Shaw. And if this is the beginning of the terrorist cell from the King of Monsters, then they plan on releasing King Ghidorah and letting the Titans destroy everything so the world can restart. But don't worry guys, Millie Bobby Brown is there. 30 months earlier at the ATE headquarters, May, or should I say Cora, is being shrugged off by Naomi from The Expanse, which we will now call the ATE boss. She's telling Korra to play the corporate game, but obviously she's not going to be okay with that. Korra wants to work for the Cybernetics Neural Interface Unit.
That's above your pay grade.
The ATE boss says that she works for ATE and everything that she codes belongs to them. She signed a contract, and honestly that's kind of fair enough, but do you think that the May/Korra that we know is going to be okay with falling in line? Back at Monarch, Barnes has finally gotten in touch with the big boss.
I was at Outpost 87,
88.
monitoring the gamma ray burst coming from Alaska, and then these people came in and took over.
And the big boss looks worried.
Why Outpost 88?
Then we see why. All of the explosives that Monarch stored at that base are now in Shaw's hands. All of it. He looks almost giddy. I mean, that's a lot of emotion for a boomer. Columbo, Kate, and Kentaro show up at Korra's house in Tacoma. And of course, Kate just wants to barge in.
Or what if she's protecting them from something? We go barging in there and spill the beans.
Columbo is right when he says that they have to be smooth about their approach. But he's only become cool recently. I promise that if I'm ever on the run from an evil organization, that members of this page are the only people that get to know where I am. Subscribers get cryptic tweets, and people that leave super thanks get invites to my friend's art exhibition in Tokyo. Alright, let's get back to the video. And it looks like Korra was raised in a loving household. And when asked how they know Korra, the gang says that they're all in the same manga chat room.
It's your basic shoujo stuff. I mean, obviously, Naoko Takeuchi, Moto, Hagio. She's very, very big into Akira Toriyama.
It turns out that Korra hasn't been home for over 2 years.
Did you see the sister's face? She knows something she's not saying.
After leaving, they follow the sister who has no chill and leaves immediately. The gang thinks they lose her and they all start bickering.
Get out! Get out of the car!
Finally, Kentaro uses his moodiness for the greater good.
She likes old tech, but thinks people who collect vinyl are hopeless posers.
Korra's sister finally explains everything. We flash back and Korra's at a birthday party. Her mother and her sister are enjoying themselves, but not her. She looks terrified. She's getting a bunch of text messages. One saying everything is going crazy and asking where she is. One saying that the system is crashing. And now they start asking if she did something. And finally one comes from the AET boss saying, "I know it was you." Korra has gone too far and she knows it. She starts packing and frantically making plans to get out of the country.
What did you do?
Back in the present, her mother and her sister just want her back and they don't care what she did. They just want her home. Now Korra's sitting in a meeting room and the AET boss walks in. Turns out what Korra found was really bad.
And you thought that you, the boss of your parents' entire basement, had the power, the ability, the moral authority to put a stop to it.
Korra hacked into the system and found her way down into the AET secret labs, where she found a lot of animal cruelty. Chimps being used for neural interface experiments. The same program that will eventually bring us Mechagodzilla 2 movies from now.
You're such a disappointment.
Korra deleted all the data from years of experiments, which made them start over probably, but yeah, I mean, way to go, I guess. The gang needs to get inside AET, and Columbo has an idea. He sends a Titan alarm to everyone's phone, and the alarms play through the streets. So just like everyone in Japan, everyone runs for the shelters. But it's chaos in America, and no one is helping anyone. The big boss sees this alert and doesn't look very happy.
Tim.
Turns out that the AET boss knows a lot more than we thought, and she wants a spy in Monarch, and Korra is just the person.
Welcome to AET.
I'm so glad we got this set.
When the gang sees Korra, they barely believe that she's okay, and Korra has something immediately to tell them. 2 years earlier, Korra is walking down the street and she meets Kentaro. She needs a new name and she picks May. She says that she's been lying this whole time and she can't go with it. But Kate keeps trying.
I didn't care about helping you. I didn't care about your dad. I was using you. I was using you to save my own ass.
Korra says that Kate needs to get the hell out of there and she's done with all of this. Kate is heartbroken even though it's his brother's ex. That's kind of weird, right? That's when they all get pulled into a van by the Monarch big boss.
Are we done playing Goonies now?
Excuse me.
She doesn't like the kids even though they're all in their mid to late 20s.
We found our dad's map. We found our dad, and we found Godzilla. All on our own without you or Monarch.
Boom, even the big boss can't deny those results. That wins her over and now they're all teamed up. Korra is reluctantly back at AET.
From now on, I'm the only one who'll pay for my mistakes.
The AET boss is high and mighty until...
There's an Natalia Verdugo from Monarch here asking to see you.
Boss fight, two worlds collide. Korra finally gets to go home to her family and everyone is so happy. Columbo and the Big Boss are leaving AET and they obviously made a deal to get them a Titan brain at some point.
We have to bring Monarch out of the shadows.
Kate and Kentaro are following the next clue when Korra shows up. And now she's back on board with the gang.
Well, you can call me May. May. Please call me May.
Weird, okay, you want them to call you the fake name, okay. The Big Boss makes a big step and explains Monarch to the public.
Monarch is a global collaboration of governmental and scientific agencies. Our mission is to protect you, the citizens around the world.
And back with the gang, Kentaro is obviously starting to seem like a third wheel. I mean, is Kate gonna really act like she doesn't know that that's her brother's recent ex? Kate is wild for this one, and Korra is probably just playing her. At AET, they're very happy with their new company name, Apex Cybernetics. I told you, why would I lie? We've done this before. In Alaska, Shaw and his team are planning to close the hole to the hollow earth that he saw from the helicopter earlier this season. The explosion wakes up the Frostvark and a helicopter is lost, and when the explosion hits the portal, it causes a vortex that almost kills everyone, but the portal's closed.
Yes! You looked into his eyes. He's not just a mindless, destructive force. He knows what he's doing.
The plan is finally revealed, and Shaw isn't the bad guy. Wait, yes he is, but he's on Godzilla's side. Obviously, there's a gray area here that we need to talk about. Roll the intro. Episode 8 starts where the season started, in Kazakhstan in 1959 with Randa and Mira talking about their son.
They'll be blessed with my gravity-defying braking curveball.
Oh my god. The curveball again.
Yes, the curveball.
But this just seems to be part of a PTSD flashback for Shaw.
Do you think we'll be home before Hiroshi's birthday? Lee?
Shaw and his team of whatever they are, let's just call them wild cards. The wild cards are in Kazakhstan to destroy something, I guess.
This is the target today. This is the one.
Back in '55, the new head of Monarch didn't even believe that Titans exist after Godzilla was nuked.
Our nuclear superiority proved more than a match for Godzilla.
He thinks that Monarch is just a waste of time and money that could be used to stop the Russians.
You have shoveled Uncle Sam's money into a self-perpetuating bureaucratic sinkhole.
He accuses Kay of being Japanese, I guess?
Especially given the juicy tidbits the FBI turned up in her background check.
You son of a bitch.
In 2015, Columbo is showing the gang the Monarch headquarters.
This is what our grandparents built?
The building is older, probably because that jackhole cut funding. But the main room that the 3 original Monarch agents used is now the war room.
Monarch has outposts all over the world. Right now, they are picking up gamma ray bursts just like we saw before G-Day.
In the war room, they're all looking for gamma ray bursts. They need to know if Kate and Kentaro's father is predicting or following the bursts and where he's going to be going next. The explosion Shaw caused in Alaska is making all of the other sites light up with way more gamma rays than normal.
Tim seems to think that your bloodline gives you some unique insight into the situation.
The Monarch Big Boss really puts the pressure on the gang. She thinks that Shaw is about to start something that they won't be able to control, and the gang finds monsters, so...
We need to know where Shaw's heading to next so we can stop him before it's too late.
Shaw and his team show up at the site in Kazakhstan where Kay died. It turns out that after the event happened, Dr. Randa went a little crazy.
Started pushing all these theories about teleportation and wormholes, real tinfoil hat type of stuff.
Shaw is having flashbacks to the day Kieko was taken by the Titans, and when asked what they're in for, all he has to say is,
"It won't be for the faint of heart, I can tell you that."
In the 50s, the scientists were moved into the basement after their scuffle. Dr. Randa is mad enough to punch a wall and really hurts his hand.
He's gonna write a report that makes us look like con artists.
The scientists need to decide on the next move. Shaw thinks that they need to give up another Titan, but the scientists are completely against it.
If we tell them that the biggest H-bomb we've ever tested didn't kill it,
They'll build a bigger one.
which they're gonna do anyway.
Shaw has a plan. It's a shot in the dark, but at least it's a plan.
Build me a case for Monarch. All those field notes and the journals and the diaries that you've been keeping, everything that you've scribbled down since the Lawton sank out from underneath you, what we know about the Titans, where they sleep, what they eat, spawn, mate.
Maybe that will at least help them stay close to Monarch for now. Columbo and the gang are looking through some really old files. He's kept every single file and form he's ever used and thinks that there's a connection in this massive stack of files.
He's old school.
The oldest of schools.
Exactly. He would not let this go. This was his mission. It was his life. We're not gonna find him with some multi-spectrum satellite sweep.
But to be honest, a lot of the information just hurts the gang's feelings.
It was my 18th birthday. And my dad was here doing a software update on the geosynchronous Titan anomaly sensing system.
GTAS.
But using the files, they connect the dots to Kazakhstan and pitch it to the big boss, who reluctantly agrees.
Sure, why not? I always thought Goonies deserved a sequel.
Again with the Goonies joke. Just let it go, lady. Come on. The Moody twins, aka Kate and Kentaro, are again on opposite sides. Kentaro wants to go home, which he's voiced for a couple of episodes now.
I'm not leaving, but I'm not cleaning up his mess.
Listen, I'm not a genius, but you know, don't hang around holes that people you've cared about have already died in. You get pearls like that when you subscribe and become a member of Blake's World. I mean, it's not good advice. All right, let's get back to the video. In 1955, the scientists are starting to get close. Maybe too close for Shaw to be comfortable with. But he messed up and put himself before Monarch. He has feelings for Kay, but it's complicated.
You sound like Hatch.
Would you like to lose the other hand?
Kay is surprisingly very appreciative of Randa standing up for her.
I knew that I could trust you. No matter what.
But the information is hard to decide between the true, the possible, and the just crazy.
Confirmed sightings.
Look at Shaw's worried face. That's not good. In 2015, the gang Columbo and a team of Monarch agents are now in Kazakhstan. The Monarch agents give off incompetent FBI vibes.
My team will go in first, assess the situation.
Like, do you remember how easy it was for the military to be taken out in King of Monsters? They didn't last long, unless you're Ice Cube's son. No monsters can kill Ice Cube or his family. Kate doesn't think they should go in tactically.
He wants someone to take over the family business, and he thinks we're the only family he has left.
And Shaw thinks that they're his last chance, maybe even at having a family. The gang and the team walk into the facility that the original Monarch team found all of the eggs. But that was years ago. There's radiation, but not enough to hurt them if they don't stay long.
Something's absorbing the radiation.
They find a bunch of insect exoskeletons.
They grew out of their skin.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad if the group turned around, but that's just me. They finally get to the room, but remember, it's just a giant hole. And the hole now has lots of lush green plants growing down it to the portal.
To where?
Tinfoil hat land.
There's charges everywhere, and that's when the two groups finally meet.
Step away from the...
Hey, whoa, 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 whoa!
It's about to get tense when Kate speaks up.
Well, you finally made it. I assume this means you want to talk.
Shaw wants to talk to Kate and no one else, again leaving out Kentaro. In 55, Randa is up late working on a report and he's trying to figure out how they hide from us. Where does something so big go that we can't find it? That's when an ant crawls into a hole on his map. It all just clicks all at once and he rushes over to Kay's house. He just kind of barges in to explain the hollow earth theory, but the movie version.
What if their underground isn't just underground?
She thinks it's crazy.
But brilliant.
That's when her son walks out, aka Kate and Kentaro's father. Her secret's out. She's had a son all along. She left him in Japan, but after a few years of working and saving, she had enough money to bring him to America.
I wanted to tell you and Lee. I really did.
She says it's hard enough being a Japanese woman after World War II, and then you want to add on widow. I get it. This doesn't really seem to bother Billy, and I think that this is whenever Billy and Kay fall in love. It just kind of clicks again. She sees he doesn't care about her biggest secrets, so there's nothing holding them back anymore. In 2015, Shaw and Kate start their little talk.
There's a world down there, Kate.
Turns out Shaw has actually been to the Hollow Earth, and that must have been that secret mission Columbo was talking about.
But what I learned from it was why Keiko was trying to tell everybody at Bikini Atoll.
He thinks that Monarch will never do what's necessary, so it's up to them. But also, he isn't scared of the Titans. Titans. Well, he is, but he knows they aren't mindless -1 Godzillas.
You looked into his eyes. He's not just a mindless, destructive force. He knows what he's doing.
He says that Godzilla has one job, and it's actually kind of simple.
He's just keeping his kind in their world and us in ours.
He's actually not so great at that last part. Shaw wants to help Godzilla with his mission and close off the portals for good, and also maybe atone for not taking the meeting and getting the funding from Monarch the right way. In 55, young Shaw goes to the General, and the General is not hearing any of it.
Sir, I believe that you'll find Lieutenant Hatch's report has omitted certain facts.
So Shaw finally drops that the H-bomb didn't kill Godzilla.
This is confirmed.
Cited by me, sir.
With this news, the General is in disbelief, but Shaw looks him in the eyes and tells him it's the truth. However, in exchange for this information, he asks for nothing for himself, only the docs.
I do hope that Drs. Mira and Rand's position as sole authority over Project Monarch's scientific operations will remain unchallenged.
Basically, he hands the General promotion, then walks away. As smooth as Kurt Russell. In 2015, Columbo and Mademoiselle argue about what's right, but she's not budging. Kate is still trying to reason with Shaw, but he's also not budging, so she starts to bring up Kieko.
This is to make up for losing her, isn't it?
Well, of course it is.
Shaw is really not budging, and he just starts the bombs. But something in the portal doesn't like that. The Titan protecting the portal is a giant beetle called an endopede. And in this massive freakout, May falls down the hole and is just gone. Kate almost falls, but Shaw grabs her hand at the last moment. I got you! The bombs go off, and then the portal's closed, I guess?
Bill Randa was right.
What exactly was my father right about?
About everything. Their world and ours. Their balance.
So many questions answered in this one episode that I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle the season finale. We find out that moodiness is hereditary and that time-bending portals can cause a bit of a problem. Okay, roll the intro. We start with Randa and Shaw sitting with young Hiroshi.
I think it's about that time, Bill.
It looks like they've kind of split up the parenting duties. Lee is going on a mission, a very important mission.
You know that it's top secret Army Explorer stuff, right?
He tells young Hiroshi that it's dangerous, but it's also important, and he gives him his favorite one-of-a-kind pocket knife. While the two men walk and talk, it looks like Monarch has become something huge in just a few years since the 1960s. The two men reminisce about what Kay would think if she saw all of this.
She'd miss all this. Running around doing 9 jobs at once.
Yeah. Doing all of them better than any 9 of us could do one.
Looks like they're about to drop a Titan phone into a portal, and Shaw is one of the brave men that's going with it.
I'm not gonna ask anybody to do something that I wouldn't do myself.
It could be me.
Did you ever manage to get that Jeep out of third?
Go to hell.
First men into the hollow earth, it's kind of like the opposite of the space race.
Kennedy can have outer space and all the big rocks floating in it. We're about to plant our flag in underspace.
I'm not gonna lie, Shaw looks pretty cool in his holonaut suit, and the General gives a spine-chilling monologue.
This mission is a matter of global security and the preservation of mankind, gentlemen.
The look on Billy's face is complete pride. Pride in knowing such a brave person, and pride of being part of such a huge moment. Kay would be proud of both him and Shaw for what Monarch has become. With the technology of the time, the portal only works if a Titan goes through it at the same time, kind of like a Pacific Rim situation. And I guess they also kind of do that on Godzilla vs. Kong. So I believe the plan is to follow a Titan down the portal very closely. But first, they need to call a Titan.
Jesus. That's a big one.
Shaw and his team drop their pod, but something goes wrong. Again, the portals don't like being messed with. They've never done this before, so how would Randa know if it's going right or wrong? The portal starts to implode, and this is probably how Shaw knows how to do it in 2015. Billy looks scared. Is it happening again? Is he losing another friend to his hubris? To his uncontrollable need for knowledge about these Titans? He's already lost his wife and the mother of his kid, and now his best friend and partner in all of this is gone. When the portal finally stops, the look on Billy's face has turned to pure terror.
What the hell happened? I don't know.
Now the only thing left to do is tell young Hiroshi. In 2015, Kentaro is waking up in a hospital in Tokyo. His leg is broken and his face is beat up, and he's been out long enough for Columbo to be up and back to work, albeit on crutches. Kentaro isn't reacting great to the news that May, Shaw, and even Kate are gone.
There has to be something I can do. Something we can do.
In the Hollow Earth, May and Shaw are waking up somewhere in the woods. May is confused and it's taking her time to get her mentals back. And that's when she sees the ground start to glow, and then boom.
We gotta move fast. You gotta hold my hand and move exactly where I move, okay? Okay.
The lightning is connected to the ground like a video game. It looks stressful, but also kind of fun.
Affects the ground and it goes off like a lethal static shock.
How do you know that?
The portal is really messing with May's head, but Shaw seems to be back at 100%, having done this once before. May doesn't really know where she is or how she got there until Shaw reminds her.
Oh my God, she followed me back.
Whoa, no.
And she is very upset that Kate fell also.
She started to fall, I caught her. Hey, we fell together.
So they head off into the woods calling for Kate with massive firefly bugs flying above them. In the 60s, Randa has been painstakingly trying to figure out what went wrong, where Shaw went, and if they can get them back. But he's only one part of the team. Without Kay and Shaw, he's just not enough. That's whenever he gets even worse news from the general.
As a result of the catastrophic loss of life in the undertaking of Operation Hourglass and the inability of Project Monarch to ascertain the cause of the catastrophe, the Department of Defense has ordered no further funds be allocated to Project Monarch going forward.
He's not ready to stop. He's already obsessing over this, and now they're pulling his funding?
Your boy's already lost a mother. Now an uncle. Do not take his father away too.
In 2015, Shaw is trying to explain what he can to May.
Well, I'm not a science guy, so it's a little difficult to explain.
That's when we flash back to Shaw waking up in a hospital bed. He's disoriented and the scientists and doctors in hazmat suits are asking a lot of questions but not giving him any answers. Seemingly for days, so Shaw stops eating. A good old hunger strike will show him. I guess time in the Hollow Earth hasn't changed him much.
I'd like to have Bill Randa bring me a sandwich.
But a kind nurse brings him a Christmas cookie, hoping that it'll cheer him up.
Well, it wouldn't be much of a hunger strike if I made any exceptions, would it?
But the man of action that he is done waiting, so he takes the nurse hostage. So if you made it this far in the video, let's face it, you like the video. So you should like the video. And if you like the video, you should subscribe to the channel. And if you like the channel, you should become a Blake's World member. Okay, let's get back to the video.
Bill Randa! Get me Bill Randa! Get me Bill Randa!
But as he walks down the hall, he starts to notice things are different. First he sees an MRI machine, but hey, he's not a science guy. Let's just keep going.
Get me Bill Randa!
Then he sees a space shuttle launching. But wait, they weren't even close to space yet. How is this happening? Okay, that's weird, but Bill will explain it. Let's just keep going.
Get me!
That's when somebody with an air of being in charge yells down the hall.
Go get me Bill Randa!
This guy drops the news that Bill Randa is dead and has been dead for over 10 years. And Shaw has been gone for 20. Also, let's talk about this horrible decline in 11 years. Bill Randa turned from this dude to, well, John Goodman. And I have a feeling that he doesn't become the best father in Kay and Lee's absence. It's 1982, and the man in the suit...
You disappeared during Operation Hourglass in 1962. 20 years ago. Uncle Lee.
Lee is in disbelief, but Hiroshi has his knife. This is too much for Shaw to handle, and it looks like his brain feels like May after landing on the Hollow Earth. He falls down in the shock of it all, and the nurse is finally released. She's pretty important. I'm pretty sure that's Kentaro's mom. She's kind and incredibly understanding of what Shaw must be going through, but also what Hiroshi must be going through. He was left all alone, and now he has one of his parental figures back after all this time. But the world being so different, he's the parent now. In 2015, Kentaro is getting home from the hospital, and his mother is being the loving and understanding person we just saw. She's trying to keep his mind off of things that he can't change. But Kentaro's gonna be his moody self. She says he can go back to work when he gets better, but he doesn't want that. He has serious survivor's guilt, but also he doesn't seem to think that they're truly gone. Just like any good mother, she sees what her son needs. She gives him some sage advice, but also supports him in whatever he needs to do to get through this. Back at Monarch, the job never stopped. The war room is hectic, but Barnes is locked in. As goofy as she is, she's been having all the breakthroughs, and that can't all be luck.
It's a signal!
She basically cuts through all of the patterns to find that there's one pattern that repeats over and over again.
It's a message. Somebody's sending us a message.
In 82, Shaw wakes up in a hospital bed after his outburst.
Is she okay? She will be.
He's a bit confused, but Hiroshi is there.
They sent you in here to talk to me, huh? Think I'll open up to you.
Shaw tells him what happened. They landed and they lost one of their team members on impact. But while they were flying, they saw what I think is an ion dragon. My theory is that these Mutos that guard the portals are foot soldiers for the king of monsters, Godzilla. We already saw the Frostbark in Alaska and the Endopede in Kazakhstan.
So we began Plan DVA.
But before they could figure that out, they were attacked by this giant Muto. Shaw and the other survivor retreated, but then the static storm hits and he loses his last team member. That's how Shaw learned to stay away from the glowing spots. Basic video game knowledge, but
he's old school.
The oldest of schools.
Now he's all alone and running for his life. Keep in mind that at most, it's only been a few hours since they landed. It looks like they may have buried someone and then started recon and trying to figure out evac. So this has been a relatively quick trip, not even enough time to need another meal. When the Titan goes back into the portal after feeling like it's wiped out enough trespassers, it pulls Shaw back in.
Next thing I remember,
Next thing you know, he's waking up in a forest in Japan with a passenger jet flying overhead. He's beat up, but his Holonaut suit is still relatively new.
Bill Randa was right.
What exactly was my father right about?
About everything. Their world and ours. Their balance.
Hiroshi doesn't want to hear it. He's obviously where Cade and Kentaro get their extreme moodiness from. He's been abandoned, and now it seems like it's too much for him to have all of this hope.
Stop. Stop. We can do this together.
Shaw wants to figure out what happened. Can they go back? Can they use the time travel to their advantage? He doesn't know. He's just not ready to let this go.
We are not doing anything.
But again, Hiroshi's not hearing it.
300,000 years from the cradle of civilization to the moon. We lived with the Titans.
He gives Shaw his knife back and tells him that he's going to a very nice retirement home. Even though Shaw isn't very old technically, and that's where Shaw sits. For almost 40 years, becoming a myth around the Monarch water cooler for nerds like Columbo. Until one day he sees on the TV that Godzilla is fighting a Muto in San Francisco. His face changes from that of a defeated man to a man with a purpose. In what I would think is now years later, but we'll say 2015, May is kind of empathetic to Shaw. She's also lost time with her loved ones that she won't be able to get back.
I don't know. I don't think I lost years, May.
I mean, you lost 11 years without aging a day, then you set for the next 40 years staring at the TV on a happy pill diet.
Don't let this get to your head, but you look good for 90 whatever.
Everybody tells me.
Yeah, I'd say you lost a few years.
I mean, if I could find some way to get you home, and what happened to me doesn't happen to you, well, then I'd say it was worth it.
They keep screaming for Kate, but it's not looking good. Kentaro's at his father's office looking for information on how he can continue his search. Weeks must have gone by because his leg is healed and the crutches are gone. That's when his father, after all this time, just walks in. Hiroshi kind of acts like nothing happened at first, but gives up on that and starts to apologize. But Kentaro says that it's too late for that. So Hiroshi apologizes again, but again Kentaro says that it's too late for that. So Hiroshi asks, why is it too late? So Kentaro tells him that Kate is gone. Hiroshi doesn't believe it and he starts to weep and beg for it not to be true. But Kentaro just piles on more, telling him that it's all his fault. If he wasn't such a sad, lying little man, she wouldn't have had to search for him and she'd still be alive. But she is alive. Kate wakes up in a forest surrounded by glowing lights. I can't tell if this is a gateway like in the Godzilla x Kong The New Empire trailer, or if these are just fires left by the static lightning storm caused by her arrival. She's alone in the Hollow Earth, but she's alive. She's alone in the Hollow Earth and she's about to become pygmy, but she's alive for now. Also, if this is the guardian of this portal, Kate really lucked out. However, it's about to gore her like Rhino from WWE. When it's hit by an arrow in the eye and runs away in fear. That's when we see her, Dr. Kieko Mira, looking like the Hollow Earth Mockingjay. With our minds completely blown, we get the credits. This season of Monarch Legacy of Monsters has been a roller coaster, and honestly, I'm kinda sad it's ending. Let's break down the season 1 finale, but first, like and subscribe for more breakdowns of your favorite shows. All right, roll the intro. Our finale begins in the Hollow Earth.
Hello? Are you alright?
Kate is still dazed, and now she's seeing her dead grandmother.
Were you expecting someone else?
So that's not helping. Kay has a lot of questions, but they all lead to the big reveal, and that's gonna be a heartbreaker. Luckily, Kate has a moment because the Bramble Boar will be coming back, so they gotta move. Back on top, Kentaro is talking to his father in Tokyo. We find out why Hiroshi did all the things that he did. The crazy thing is that he has to reprove that all of this exists. Think about it, Monarch has sealed up the truth so tight that the current members of Monarch don't even know. Most of them completely underestimated the level of threat the Titans pose. So Hiroshi has to prove all of the stuff that his parents had government funding to prove. But to say that it's not a personal crusade to win back his family's pride wouldn't be a stretch. I mean, he destroyed his family and his other family. He even blames Monarch for what happened to Kate.
ケイトがいないのはモナークのせいじゃないよ。俺たちのせいだよ。
But Hiroshi explains that he tried to shield them from this life. I mean, he basically faked his death, and if he didn't fake his death, he didn't bother to report that he's alive to anyone. So I'm not really sure if there's a bigger sign for "don't follow me" out there. But Kentaro is in now, so might as well officially join the family business. Kentaro actually says yes, but only if his father will answer one question. But Hiroshi gets up on a high horse and says, "What's wrong with you? The fate of the world is at stake." But when have we ever seen Kentaro not moody? So he just walks out. In Underspace, Kay and Kate are walking through the woods.
If the rest of your rescue party follow my beacon, there's only one place they can come out.
It looks like Kieko hasn't only figured out how to send a signal back through the portals, but she's also beginning to map the portals. Not bad for not even having a pencil.
I'm sorry. Signal? What signal?
That's when it all clicks for Kay. Kate isn't part of a rescue party. She's not even there to find her. And just then, May comes running through the brush. By now, Kieko has her bow drawn. I mean, I don't know what she thinks is going to happen, but I guess she's outnumbered now.
Keiko, is that really you?
Shaw yells out from behind a tree, which is probably a good idea. The big reveal is about to go down, and it's probably best to go slow.
Your voice sounds different. Come out where I can see you.
Well, hold on, they gotta talk about a few things first.
How long do you think you've been down here, Kay?
She estimates it's been 57 days. I thought somewhere around a month or two, so I'm gonna count that as one for me. So Kieko has basically lost a year every day, or 0.98 of a year every day she's been in the Hollow Earth. Shaw explains that he led a recon mission down there in 1962. He thinks that he was there for around 1 week and lost 20 years. This is what I was trying to say in my shorts, but you nerds can't handle not being able to explain something logically. It's a giant monster movie with portals to another dimension. Just have fun with it, okay? Anyways, Shaw spent around 7 days. I estimated that he was down there for 4 hours, so I'm gonna quietly take away my point from earlier. So that means that Shaw lost 2.85 years per day. Why is this? I don't know, but Kieko has already been thinking about it.
Yeah. All the gravitational distortion. Some warping of space-time.
Since, just like my shorts did, like and subscribe. Anyways, Kieko is heartbroken. She didn't know how long it's been, but now she knows that she's missed so much of her loved ones' lives. And all Kate and May can do is stand there awkwardly.
Is it 2015?
Lee uses this moment to get closer, and whenever she turns around, she sees Lee. Immediately, in that face, there's still the young officer that was sent there to protect her all those years ago. He's overjoyed to see her, but she's afraid to ask the big questions. She's really good at math, and Billy would be in his 90s now.
No, Kate. He's gone. He died a long time ago.
This is just too much. For the last 57 days, she's fought her way out of this hellhole, and now she finally gets a glimmer of hope. Then she finds out that one of the reasons she's fighting in the first place has lived and died without ever knowing if she was still alive. She's afraid to ask the next big question. Billy is her husband, the man she loved, but Hiroshi is her son, the only person that without a doubt she would give her life for.
Hiroshi!
She's so distraught she's holding herself, probably the same way she did as she tried to sleep at night in the wilderness of the Hollow Earth.
He's fine. He's okay.
How do you know? How do you know? How do you know? How do you know? Who are you?
I mean, what could be running through her head? Time warping is so unpredictable. Is this Billy's new wife? I mean, anything could happen now. This could be the woman that her son calls mom.
I'm your granddaughter.
Mary Yamamoto gives such an amazing and understated acting performance here. You can see on her face, first she denies it, then she looks at Kate. She sees Hiroshi, maybe she even sees herself. Then she thinks something like, my son has a daughter, so he found a woman. Well, he found two. Her eyes even seem to show some sort of empathy for Kate. And Shaw is old man crying. You know, it's like the movements with no tears. This is such an amazing first season to this series, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. I'm gonna make it my duty to keep you updated on all Legacy of Monsters news. All you have to do is like and subscribe. All right, let's get back to the video.
How's the leg?
Columbo is back in the war room, albeit using a cane, but he's there.
Good. Only hurts when I walk on it.
He wants to investigate the signal, but the big boss says that the bigger priority is figuring out how to stop another G-Day. I understand where she's coming from. When King Ghidorah is released, I bet you they wish they had a little more time to prepare.
Someone could be alive and that is not a priority?
She says that in normal times, yes, they would have dropped everything to figure this out. But like Hiroshi said, the fate of the world is more important.
But we are looking at a wave of Titan events threatening the lives of 7 billion people.
I mean, when you put it that way.
What if the 3 could save the 7 billion?
She explains the scale of the problem is huge and they need to stay focused. Her hands are tied, but he gets even more upset.
Otherwise, Shaw was right about us. He's definitely right about you.
Okay, now she's done with him. He's gone too far. And honestly, she looks kind of hurt. But he gets the message, sit down or get fired. In Underspace, Kieko takes everyone to her camp. I mean, she'd do great on Alone or Naked and Afraid. And look, she has the Titan phone Shaw used on his recon mission, sending a signal back to Earth. The logo must have made her think of Monarch.
So Monarch made it to 1962?
They're around even today. That was part of it.
And that made her think of Hiroshi.
Tell me about him.
He's, a family man.
Truer words were never spoke. May can barely contain the laughter, but she does tell the truth about some things. He did follow in her footsteps and work for Monarch as far back as the 80s, and he did leave Monarch when they told him he had to stop.
He never knows when to stop.
Kieko has one big question though.
Is he happy?
But Shaw interrupts all the awkwardness.
Can you rewire this back to its original configuration?
Shaw has a plan and time isn't on their side, so they need to get going. At sea level, Hiroshi is picking up what's left of his things at his Tokyo family's apartment. Kintaro's mother is her caring self and asks what he plans to do. But when Hiroshi says San Francisco, even if it's only to finalize his other divorce. Also, what's the legal repercussions to having 2 families in 2 separate countries? Though Amiko would hate to admit it, but I bet that hurts. She said she never gave up hope that he was alive somewhere and just couldn't get home. And after all that pain, only to be hurt again. She says that Kintaro deserves to have a father and to let him know where he ends up as she puts her ring on his box and sends him on his way. In the Hollow Earth, Kieko and the gang are moving the Titan phone and it's definitely not meant to be carried.
Hey, don't get hooked up on the tree.
Too bad Kong's not around. May isn't built for this kind of work and gets frustrated. So everyone takes a break and you can tell the difference between the eras that these people grew up in.
Hey, seriously. Don't go far.
In Tokyo, Kentaro sits at his whiskey bar and tries to draw out the map so he doesn't have to go back to his father. It looks like he's been trying for a while, and it's hard for him not to think about the first night he met May. But look who shows up, the one and only Columbo. Wait.
Your mother said I might find you here.
He wants Kentaro's help.
I don't know what any of this means.
He doesn't, but his father might. Shaw and Kieko sit down on a log in the hollow earth. Shaw is still just so happy that she's alive.
I've been talking to you and Billy in my head the whole time I was here.
He must have thought about this moment a million times. She finally wants to know what happened to Billy, so he tells her the quick story about Skull Island.
But he did it, Kay. He was the last man standing. I mean, he went down swinging. He saved Monarch. He saved everything you and he built.
This is very telling that after all these years, Shaw still feels like he failed, and maybe he did, but he's still a founding member of Monarch. It was Shaw that set up the meeting with the generals for the Godzilla footprint. He arranged the funding and kept the pencil pushers off their backs.
I've lost so much time, Lee.
Kieko missed so much. She missed all of her son's birthday and her husband's death.
What's it like now?
Shaw explains it like an older man would. Cars are more efficient, but not as cool. Cell phones, flat screens, yada, yada, yada.
Oh, hey, we went to the moon.
I always forget what an accomplishment going to the moon is. To me, we've always been able to go to the moon. I forget that someone born in the 1940s would think that it's impossible, then improbable for the next couple decades.
Same old world. Same people. Conflicts. Triumphs. You know. Moms. Dads.
With that, Shaw starts to tear up, and so does Kieko. So, like that generation does, instead of dealing with their feelings, they get back to work. At Hiroshi's Tokyo office, he sits and watches the last video his father made on Skull Island.
Actually, I don't, because it'll probably mean I'm dead.
Bill Randa, the original vlogger. Hiroshi, being of the moody Randas, must see that clip as a little too late, but it's something. It's a broken man's last chance to speak with his son. That's when Columbo and Kentaro knock on the door.
And I have no interest in working with Monarch.
Well, that's probably good because they wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole.
Hiroshi doesn't have much patience for Tim, which is weird because Columbo has been the only guy that's believed in him all this time. Columbo was even banished to the basement for being overly nerdy about the Randas.
Just show him.
They show him, but Hiroshi doesn't want any part of this. He's actually thinking like the Monarch big boss. The world is about to go up in flames, and that's more important. And after all of the loss in his life, he might not want the hope. Hope can hurt. You'd think a father might be interested in finding his daughter.
This is cruel.
But Columbo says that he left Monarch after his argument with the big boss.
You said you wanted me to work with you, to finish your journey. Fine, I'm in. But first help me find my sister.
But how could they do anything without Monarch?
Monarch isn't the only game in town.
Remember in Godzilla vs. Kong when Apex had transports through the Hollow Earth? I think we know how that starts. In Underspace, Kieko is explaining her theories on the Hollow Earth. It's like a patchwork quilt, pieces of our world and the Titan world. She doesn't think that the Titans come from here, it's just a place in between. And finally, we get a name for the Hollow Earth. I think Finders should get naming rights. Kieko calls it Axis Mundi.
The pull between heaven and earth.
I might still call it the Hollow Earth sometimes, but Axis Mundi is its official name, or AM for short. Underspace is out. Sorry, General.
How do you know we are underground?
Because we fell down a hole.
Did we? All? Or did we enter?
Right here, this is another thing I talked about in my shorts. The portals are wild cards, and there's no reason to think that they're inside the Earth at all. All we know is that the gang is in a double-sided place that's connected to the Earth by portals. And this opens up the universe so much for the GXK writers. Finally, the gang gets to their destination, the landing zone that Shaw's team used in the 60s.
Right where I left her.
Shaw's plan is actually pretty smart. Just leave the same way they planned on leaving the first time. If you remember, he went back shipless from his mission.
Gotta be kidding me. Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing, isn't it?
So they're gonna lure a Titan through the portal, then boom, ride the vortex back to Earth. They start setting up, but Kieko doesn't want to be rushed.
Hey, what is wrong with you?
I'm staying behind.
She's scared of what the world is now, and she feels like she's let her son down. It's hard to fathom what must be going through her head.
I'm not going to ruin his life again by reappearing suddenly.
But Kate says no. Our family has lost so much, and now we have a chance to bring someone back, and you're gonna take that away?
No more. This curse is broken.
So they all strap into the pod and turn on the Titan phone. But wait, the Ion Dragon comes from inside the Axis Mundi. That's really not good, especially when it knocks the cable loose from the Titan phone.
It's leaving! It's going away from us!
Lee does his job and runs out there to fix it. The winds from the portal are insane, and the Ion Dragon is slowly walking towards it. He gets it fixed, but the Ion Dragon is right on top of him now. But that's when Godzilla enters the chat. Godzilla walking through the portal is one of the coolest things I've seen in a while. The Ion Dragon quickly attacks, but Godzilla throws him off so it regroups and hits him with the spit to the eye move. Godzilla is probably both in pain and completely grossed out. So he grabs the Ion Dragon, ripping one of its wings off and throws half of it into the portal. Shaw is watching this instead of getting into the pod, so when the pod starts to move, he runs, but he's just not as fast as he used to be. He jumps and makes it just in time to grab on, but he's not as strong as he used to be, so Kay grabs his hand. He tries to pull, but he can't. She tries, but Kate and May are already holding her. The vortex is just too strong. So Shaw takes one last long look at Kieko.
Thank you! For everything!
And he makes her let go. The pod continues through the portal and they see Godzilla in the window. When they land, they pop out and Kentaro is there to greet them. Kate hugs him and her father. That's when Hiroshi is reintroduced to his mother.
What are you gonna do?
Kieko keeps saying, I'm sorry, and Hiroshi finally allows himself just a little bit of hope. He's lost everything, so he's never really felt like anyone was ever really there for him. So when he found someone in the world that made him feel safe and loved, he stayed with that person. Well, both of those people. That's when the Apex big boss walks out and asks them to go to debriefing.
Are you working with her now?
It's complicated.
I told you, we've done this before. Why would I lie? Anyways, while they're royally confused about everything, we learn that it's been 2 years on Earth and that they're in a state-of-the-art Apex facility on Skull Island. And guess who doesn't like them being there? Kong, baby! Hey, thanks for watching. Click here for more videos and subscribe to keep up with all the Blake's World updates. I'd appreciate it. All right, I'll see you next time.